getting cut right after media day. Cold world out here in Memphis.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee.
That's right. Nothing but Memphis Showboats right here on the Captain's Log. I am your host, Brandon, aka the Captain, joined all season long by my co-host Webb. Webb, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm good, man. Camp's a weekend. Jaron and Boogie were just around the UFL. Showboats everywhere. They're great on social media. Big news today. Yesterday, right? You want to talk about that first? I think that's the big news.
Yeah, you heard me kind of lead into it. It's a cold world out here in the UFL, man. You're taking pics, having a fun time at media day, wearing some cowboy hats, and then you get released the next day, just like that. Boom, gone. And your replacement's probably already on his way to camp. The Quinten Dormady has been released from the Memphis Showboats over the weekend. I'm pretty sure over the weekend, James Larson
Sunday.
announced it Sunday, and this will come out, Tuesday, most likely.
Yeah.
So recording this on Monday, we got it just in time to see Quinten Dormady's out, and Dresser Wynn is now quarterback three, not quarterback three, but the third quarterback on the roster. And it's kind of weird because we listened to Ken Wisenhunt earlier on a Zoom call, and we were ready to come in here like, it sounds like Ken, he made it an emphasis like, it's hard to see who's QB1 when you got three quarterbacks competing for it. It's like, well, all right, Ken, well, the third quarterback's here already. Like Quinten left and the third quarterback's right in. So what? I don't know. They kind of, you saw the same interview I did. It kind of threw me through a loop when I saw Dresser win right before we came on here.
Yeah, definitely. When me and you were talking before the show, we were talking about how much Wisenhunt is a professional when it comes to the questions like that, and he gives you generic answers, and it's like wait and see.
Oh yeah.
And then he kind of pushes off like, oh yeah, we're gonna focus on these two guys, and then we'll bring a third guy in to catch up later in the camp. And I actually thought that was a good move. I was like, oh okay, then you could see like an extra corner or an extra wide receiver a little bit longer, or you could bring someone in a position that you think you need some help before you get QB3, right? You work with the first two, and then you kind of fix the rest of the team, and then you can bring QB3. But Dresser Wynn's younger guy than the other two guys. Troy's obviously the vet. EJ's been around a little bit now, and Dresser Wynn just finished up college in 2023 at UT Martin, right down the road. So I think this is a developmental ad. More than Dormady was more of established going for QB1. Dormady's kind of been around. He's either going to be QB1 or it's not really long-term beneficial for anyone. He needs that film to get back to the league as an older guy. So what do you think about Dresser Wynn?
Yeah. Speaking, one more thing about Quinten before we move on to Dresser, like you said, he could be QB2, QB3 writing on the wall maybe. And he just decided, hey, that's not for me. And it's probably a short list of quarterbacks out there because you got to keep three on the roster all season. So if we do see an injury somewhere, it wouldn't be surprising if one of the Brahmas quarterbacks go down. Quinten Dormady's right there in camp probably the next day. So I think Quinten will land on his feet. If not, this might be the last time we see Quinten Dormady. I don't know if what other endeavors he might go on towards, but yeah, Dresser Wynn's cool. It's a new name to the league. It's a name I've heard floated around a couple times that people would like to see. Spend a little time with the Edmonton Elks in the CFL. Spent some time with the Rams, 2 different stints with the Rams. So they seem to like something out of him, got a little coaching from Sean McVay. There was a point in time in the NFL, if you even looked Sean McVay's way or had a conversation with him, you got an NFL coaching job. So, a little McVay magic might have rubbed off on Dresser. And like you said, a great developmental guy, a guy we can keep around maybe for next year, maybe for 2 years down the road, But it seems like I like it. It seems like he battled a lot of injuries in college too. So it seemed like he never really started a full season besides his last season from the quick research I did before we came on here. So, but yeah, 2.5 hours down the road, kind of a local kid, from Dresden, Tennessee. So I like it.
He's a big kid too. He's 6'3". I think he's bigger than the other two quarterbacks. He's just a bigger quarterback. And like you said, he kicked around with the Rams. You know who else did? Bryce Perkins. Like Sean McVay knows guys. So the fact that he came back the second time in 2023, I think speaks volumes to the kind of talent you're bringing in, and it kind of gets me excited for not just 2025, but maybe 2026, 2027. Now you got a guy that you're developing. He's sitting that Wisenhunt system, and next year he's really competing. So as you see, like the Stallions brought back guys that are familiar with their system. This would be a benefit for the Showboats if Ken sticks around to develop a quarterback, kind of like what the Stallions are doing.
Yeah. Go back to the NFL, get you your practice squad reps, whatever, brother. And UFL's right here waiting for you when we want to get some live action. Like you said, he's a young fella. He's got time. One more thing before we move on, talk about that Ken Wisenhunt Zoom call. He said a whole lot of nothing, as we, kind of saw. He really keeps it close to the vest. A lot of coach speak out there. But one thing it does seem is that March 8th, March 15th, not even. Whoops. Our dates might be wrong. Those original dates that got released about training camp scrimmages and whatnot, because Coach was talking about Wednesday. They're scrimmaging against the Battlehawks or having a joint practice with the Battlehawks. Maybe that's what the technical term is, a joint practice with the Battlehawks. So he said we're going to see hopefully a lot of fleshing out there. It seems like guys will be in pads. So probably get some cool Instagram clips, some social media clips out of that we can all speculate on and be like, ooh, look at EJ Perry make this throw, or ooh, look at Troy Williams drop this dime, or okay, Dresser win, I see you. So be on the lookout for that. It should be a fun week heating up in training camp here for the next few weeks. Teams cut down from 66 players to 50 the week before kickoff on March 21st. So a little bit of time here to flesh out this roster and see what we got.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like you said, the Battlehawks, the scrimmage, whatever, joint practice with the Battlehawks. That's a good matchup because you got a brand new defense, kind of with a brand new offense on the other side, and then you have an established defense on the other side for the Battlehawks. They bring a lot of guys back that were key figures,
and their offense too. Like I know they've got a new coordinator over there, but I mean those weapons are still. Yeah. They got a couple of the same weapons, and the ones they did add are, the Denzel Mims, the Andy Isabellas of the world. So we'll see that cornerback, that secondary room get tested. It should be a good little iron on iron matchup here.
We'll get to that. All right, man. We're gonna do a little over and under. You are the resident UFM betting guru. Sorry, FBI tugboat, but Brandon,
we collab.
You do. I guess you're the OG with the UFM, the betting gambler. So. Yeah. So I'm gonna pitch 4 scenarios, 4 on offense, 4 on defense. You tell me over and under, and we'll try to go back and forth, getting ready for the season. You ready?
All right, give me.
All right. How many quarterbacks? Over and under is 2. I know usually you go 2.5, but 2.5 is either.
Yeah.
But how many quarterbacks start a game for the Showboats this year? Spring League is always kind of like 2 quarterback systems. The Stallions have done it for 3 years and won championships. Every team needs every guy on the roster, including the quarterbacks. There's not many, unless your name is Luis Perez. Like most of the time, you're getting pulled at one time or another.
Even then, we'll see old Lindsey Scott Jr. come in for like their 2-point conversion plays. So true. even Louise is susceptible to a little 2 quarterback system every now and then. But I think if Ken Wisenhunt had it his way, it would be 1 quarterback, because it seems like he's really kind of that seemed to be the message I got from his little Zoom call was, okay, this guy wants to find his quarterback, and that's who he's going to stick with, barring an injury. But we know injuries are probably going to happen. So the safe bet here would be over 2.
Okay.
Well, no. You would set the line at 1.5 is what you should have done, brother. Okay. Because if you go...
I told you're the betting expert, not me.
Jeez Louise, this guy.
I live in Georgia, man. I can't even bet.
But yeah, I think if Ken had it his way, we're going to have 1 quarterback, and that would be his focus. But as a betting man, the bet would be over. We'll see 2 quarterbacks, maybe even 3. Hopefully not, but because if we see 3, somebody got hurt, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. This will be the one football season where nobody gets hurt. Right here, bet on it.
I think I'm gonna. If it's 2.5, I'm going under. If it's 1.5, I'm going over. I think 1.5 is an easy over because I think the 2 guys that they kept after cutting Quinten Dormady they're going to start at some point this season. I think both of them are. As a Showboats fan, you saw the chain of different quarterbacks starting all year. As Mahler's guy, I've always seen it. So I think it's a safe bet to go 2.5 over, but I hope not. I hope we see either Troy or EJ, or if Dresser shows out. Even though you were talking about his press conference, we think he wants to settle on one, right? Because he said he cut Dormady to get extra snaps for Troy and EJ, and then 6 hours later, all of a sudden Dresser win, which obviously was signed before that press conference. So who knows
Can't
what
believe Can't believe a word this guy says.
He's building a monster, man. All right, next one. David Davis, the best receiver on the team from last year that returns, had 41 receptions last year. Higher or lower? Higher or lower than 41 receptions? That's a tough number. Flip's offense was kind of a pass heavy.
Yeah. And you would think Ken kind of would want to lean into that as well. Just from being an offensive coordinator in that kind of Kurt Warner and the weapons they had. So 41, if you look at it in perspective, that was that was sixth in the league last year. Okay, so only 5 guys got more than 41 receptions. The John Craig Kirklands, the Justin Halls of the world, the Sal Canellas, guys like that. So I want to say right around 40. I would probably go under. I think he gets around 40 again, because that was almost at times trying to force feed him. I think he did. He did get injured at one point too, I think. So I think he missed a game. So, but I'm in my mind, in a perfect world, he goes right around 40. I think 40 even, because that means we're spreading the ball around. We've got other playmakers. They can't focus in on just him. They can't focus in on Chris Pierce. They can't focus in on, whoever. So I'll go 40.
All right.
Under.
I'm going to go with under, and hear me out. Last year, you guys, the Showboats, were behind a lot, so they were past in the fourth quarter, and like you said, force feeding to throw the ball. I think this year you have a little bit more time of possession balance, and I think they're in a lot of games, and I think they're competing, so you're running the ball a little bit more, maybe not force feeding. I think he's probably around the number 40. But you've got so many weapons. I don't know if you saw the clip of Troy connecting with Isaiah Washington today on social media. Like, every guy is a huge guy on that team, big receivers. So I think, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over just because I believe in David.
It's more fun too. Yeah. Overs are more fun. You're always alive. The under's rough because if it's a season-long bet, it's not as rough. But unders in games, just they're no fun. You're rooting for bad football. You know what I'm saying? You're going under 40 points or a defensive battle, I guess. We could call it a defensive battle.
All right. Turnovers. They were worse in the league last year. -6 in the turnover ratio. Do you think they're going to be better than that? And how much better? I guess it's not really an over and under segment. I think it's more predictions, kind of. Where would you set the bar?
A lot of prognosticating. If we could, ideally, you would want to be in plus territory there. Yeah. Getting the turnovers, but from where we were, if we could just get to even, you know what I'm saying? If we can take it back as many times as we give it away, that's fine by me. Okay, as long as we can even it out to where at the end of the day, all's fair. Say we can look back and say, well, we didn't lose the turnover battle, technically. If we throw two interceptions in a game and lose a fumble, you're probably not going to win. Some things need to be cleaned up. But if you can get 3 turnovers back the next week when you're playing the Roughnecks, it kind of balances out. But hopefully we could just be at a nice 0 with, 1 giveaway, 1 takeaway. That'd be fine.
Definitely. Fun fact, the second worst team in turnover battle. Do you know who that was?
Second worst?
Down in the cow pasture. No, it's down in the cow pasture. They did not create turnovers, but they gave up turnovers. So
they had a lot of 4th and 12s. A lot of 4th and 12. Like, hey, these guys are on the ropes. They've kind of put themselves in this position to lose, but then they come out and win. And that's the separator right there. That's the Renegades were kind of the same way, but you see two sides of the coin right there. The Renegades lose all those close games. The Brahmas won those close games. So
So
just a little, yeah,
so it's going to balance out, and the Brahmas are going to take a step back because we know we have
sure.
two.
US, USFL on top, maybe. I hope we sweep the XFL conference. I think the Brahmas had the most success because I've heard it a lot from Josh every time he gets a chance to bring it up. That
and baby Josh.
you know, they were 4-1 against the USFL, I think is the stat. So definitely the best team against the USFL side, but that talent gap didn't seem too big when other teams played.
Yeah. All right, moving on to kickers, man. Coughlin comes back. He went 16 for 17. He was pretty solid last year.
Love Coughlin.
Over and under that he makes 16 field goals this year, because that's like 1.6 per game.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like seems very average. Like 1 point. I'm not saying he's average. I'm just saying it just seems the output. So
yeah, it's not crazy. You know what I'm saying? You would think if it feels like we could have took some more points here and there in some situations last year, but it doesn't seem like field goals really get kicked too much. It feels like a lot of going for it. It feels like a lot of effort. But 16 is the number. Give me over. I would hope that it'd kind of be under, because then we're scoring more touchdowns and there are no extra points as far as kicking goes. So you hope for the under, but I'll take the over. I think we put Coughlin in a few more like 50 plus situations, because I think he missed his one miss was from like 50 plus, but with the breakers I felt like he was pretty good from 50 plus. So give me the over, Cogs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over, just because I think the offense is going to be more effective this year, moving the ball, getting in the field goal position. So all he's got to do is really kick 7 games with 2 field goals. You know what I mean? I think he can do that if he has a game of 3 field goals. You know what I mean? I just think he's
that running clock.
I think that's an easy.
I always forget about that running clock.
Yeah, that's true. All right, man, you ready for question of the week?
Is it?
Question of the week. He comes from Bill Alexander in a private chat, actually. Biggest surprise for the Showboats will be
just surprise overall for the whole season. We're making like a season-wide prediction.
It's your world.
Surprise.
It's your world. Just live it.
The Memphis show kind of like this is your favorite thing right here. It feels like hot take Wednesday right here. Is this what this is? You trying to get Bill Alexander to get a hot take Wednesday in here? All right. I'll fall for the bait. Here we go. The Memphis Showboats will have a top 3 offensive line in the UFL this year.
Wow, that's
and you know what that means. If they have a top 3 offensive line, that's playoff bound, baby. Okay, so we get over the Panthers or the Stallions. I don't care who we knock out, but we get into the playoffs behind a top 3 offensive line unit.
I'm gonna up you
because I heard Ken talk about it in the interview. One thing he mentioned by name was the offensive line coach Turner. So I'm hoping the big boys are looking good. Sounds like they're looking good. Everything's looking good the first few days. These coaches all positive. What you got?
Talking about Jim Turner, did you see his media day in the boxing with the boxing gloves? Oh, you got to see it. They've got him in boxing gloves. And Turner's an older guy and everything, and they show all the it's on all the social medias, like the reels.
You want your offensive line coach to have that look. He's got to look like an offensive line coach, and we know what that look is. When he goes like this, when he his belly moves with him. So
we will have 5 players on the all UFL team as they make the playoffs and compete against Stallions. I'm not going to say championship or bust. I'll save my championship prediction for another episode. But they will make the playoffs, and there'll be 5 players on the all UFL. And 2 of them
I think we had last year. 2 of them are corners.
Yeah. I'm a big
So
believer in
that
Lance
would
Boykin and Cam Dantzler. Everywhere we turn, and that's not even talking about my boy Gilbert, right? Everywhere we turn, we just keep hearing about Cam Dantzler, Lance Boykin, Cam Dantzler, Lance Boykin. So that's definitely two, right? I think you get an offensive line because I think you're right about the offensive line. It gets better. So that's another one. Defensive tackle. I think it's Boogie or John Atkins. I know Boogie said he wants it. John Atkins is that vet. He's a big guy. It works in a Horton defense. And then just sprinkle in another one, maybe a specialist like a Mangle or a Coglin. There's your five.
I don't think we would get 5 that way, just because I know these all UFL lists are pretty, they seem to wanna spread it out, you know what I'm saying? They gave us Dawood Davis, which they only put up 2 wide receivers for all UFL, which kind of feels like we can get 1 more receiver, like, you gotta have 3, I feel like. I feel like you have 3 wide
Yeah.
receivers
Yeah.
most times on the field in the modern day of football, so only having 2 wide receivers was rough, and then they only have 2 corners, There's no nickel, there's no slot corner, option, so to have 2 guys get it from 1 team would be amazing. I'd love it, but I just don't see the league doing that. 1 DB, 1 defensive lineman, 1 wide receiver, Dawood Davis, or somebody else that maybe challenges him for one of the most talented receivers in the league. Specialist, Mangle, or Cogs, take your pick, whichever Matt you want. That's 4. And then, 1 offensive lineman. I think that's how we could get to 5. But I
As long
like it.
if you got 5
As
UFL
long as
guys, you're in the playoffs. Simple as
yeah.
that. All right, man. Over and under defense. Top interception guy last year was 2. Do we have a guy that goes above 2? And if so, who is it?
I'd give it to Gilbert just because I feel like maybe people are going to kind of pick on him, if he is on the field, which it feels like he might be more of a rotational guy, but Jaron does like him a lot and trust him. So be interesting to see how much Mark Gilbert is out there because I feel like you can make him maybe not have to cover the 1 or even the 2 sometimes. If he's covering your 3rd best wide receiver against Mark Gilbert, that's a matchup I like, So I feel like maybe some quarterbacks might pick on him because of what he showed last year or what he didn't show. And I think he can come away with a couple sneaky interceptions, maybe 3. Just because 2 is a little low, but, I mean, really, interceptions are just tough in the UFL, overthrows and picks usually kinda go to the linebackers. It seems like we got a lot of big boys making interceptions out here for some reason, but, if it was 1 guy, I'd say give it to Gilbert just because I think they won't be expecting him.
I'm going to go over and I'm going to go Lance Boykin. I think Cam Dancer is going to be the corner that doesn't have stats because he's covering the number
Yeah,
1 and kind of locking them down.
someone's gonna
So they're
be
going to.
that guy.
It's almost the same thinking that you're going with Mark Gilbert. They got to throw the ball somewhere, and if Cam
Yeah.
Dancer's being the all UFL corner that I know he can be in the size that he has, someone's going to have an interception, and I'm going to bet on Lance Boykin. I think Gilbert has a solid season. I think we could talk corners all day with this team. And if you watch Horton in any of his interviews, he talks corners all the time because this team is deep in that. Let's go to sacks, man. 4.5 sacks, over or under. This is kind of your forte. You kind of dig 1 guy on the defensive line. I know that.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan? Brevin Allen?
Allen. Yeah.
Is Allen, I'm sorry. Jordan is a Charger, I believe. Brevin Allen. Yeah, it'd be great if he could, just come in and wreck shop, put up about 6.5, 7, because I think Breland Speaks has led the league with, 9, maybe
Yep.
10. I think he got maybe 10 one year and then 9 last year. But, it doesn't seem like we see too many double-digit sacks, really. No seasons like that. Um, I think 6.5 to 7 would be reasonable. If we could get 6.5, 7 sacks out of 1 guy, no matter who it is, shout out if it's my guy, so he can make me look good out here. But whoever it is, if 1 guy can have 6.5 to 7 sacks, hopefully that means, we got a couple other guys with those 4.5, 3.5 sacks, kinda, get us up there in the sack numbers. Because once you get that quarterback a little, get his eye level low, as they say, looking at the rush, it's kind of, games on at that point, defensive linemen notice it, I'm sure, you can feel that when a quarterback is, yo, we got this guy. We got this guy rattled. So, like, yeah, if we can, I would smash the over just because we need to smash that over.
I think they're going to be winning more, so you're going to have more pass rush scenarios in the fourth quarter, and they're not going to be running the clock, especially how you
Yeah.
said, running the clock all game basically, so the game's faster. Um, Boogie did go on around the UFL and said that he's going for 6 this year. He had 4 with the Maulers, so 6 would beat the 4.5. But I like your pick with Brevin Allen. I think Isaiah Green May is another one. He's one of my guys that I'm really excited to see a full season with the Jaron Horn defense. I'll smash the over. At least one guy, 4.5, if not 2. I really think this defense can get to it, especially when you got corners that can play physical. All right. This is probably the most layup one out of all of them. Last year, Showboats had considered to have the worst defense in the league. It was pretty bad. It was pretty porous. Worse in points against, 26.4. The next team was 22.5. Worse in yards per game, they gave up 354. The next closest team was 315. If you're giving up 40 extra yards than anyone else, you're in trouble. Most passing yards given up. Third worst in rushing defense. Top 3 defense? Over or under? Will they, in terms of, let's go with points. Are they going to be a top 3 defense in points against?
Yes.
You
Top 3
didn't sound
defense.
confident, man.
Top 3 defense, top 3 offensive line. I mean, I could see 4, just because there's some good defense out there. I love Wade Phillips. I got to give the Cowpasture boys their respect. They got a great coach over there, and I'm pretty upset about it. He's a fun guy. He's an old man. He's got his 36 pack of Diet Dr Pepper. Old Wade Phillips. He's blocked our guy Ace for reasons that nobody could figure out. He's mentioned us as giving him Coach of the Year. He literally he called us his friends. He doesn't know who we are, but he said those are some buddies of mine. They gave me that award. That was real nice of them. So there's some good defenses. I think the Brahmas will be up there. I think the Stallions will definitely be up there. So you really only got one spot left. Michigan. Old Mike Nolan's always got a good defense ready to go. Renegades, they'll be bottom of the barrel defense, I'm sure. Roughnecks, probably bottom. DC, people are pretty high on them, so maybe that could be the guy competing for that third spot, the team competing for that top 3 defense. But yeah, I think Birmingham, Brahmas, Memphis, that'd be great. If we could finish right there behind in the same conversation as those 2 teams on defense, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's an easy 3 and above. I want to say 1 or 2, just because first of all you play the Roughnecks twice, right?
That's good. That's good stats.
Yeah, that's good stats. And then I'm not a huge believer in Michigan's offense. I think they'll be effective, but they're not high powered. I think playing San Antonio twice might, be, or Arlington, who could put up yards. Seeing them twice, it might help the averages. I think they're top 2 defense. I think you got a defensive staff. We talked about this whole episode. I think you have guys on each level that could be all UFL. Young linebackers who are going to fly to the ball. This is their shot. You got a lot of veterans more on the defensive line and in the corners, but that linebacker, those younger guys are just going to go sideline to sideline as much as they possibly can because this is their one shot to get back to the NFL.
Yeah, and you, speaking of around the UFL, the one part I did catch was I heard Jaron specifically talking about Zeke,
Yeah.
which I assume has to be Zeke Vandenberg, only Zeke on the team I know, and just talked about how I'm pretty sure I want to say he just kind of uh, applauded like his professionalism, like he just came in and has just kind of put his head down, gone to work, just a pro's pro, and one of those younger guys, like he said. So something to prove, chip on his shoulder. I like it, man. I like where we're at. Camp's heating up. Things are getting sweet. Social media clips are flying all over the place. Get on the Instagram, get on the Twitter. That that little kerfuffle that crept up from somebody's quarterback 3 and others, kind of getting hushed, little labor strife don't worry about the behind the scenes stuff, baby. The football is gonna be great.
I can't even top that, man. That was great. The kerfuffle. It's the kerfuffle episode.
A little kerfuffle, a little dust up, as old Jack Del Rio would call it.
Go Jags. Go Boats.
Go Bows.